So um, I was first introduced to PAM and nonviolent communication back in February of 2019. Um, at that time, I was in a place with my employer that I felt was an impasse. I was on a 2 week or so protest, telling them that I wouldn't come back to work unless we figured out a sustainable solution for the communication issues we were having. And through a friend of a friend, essentially, our organization got in touch with Pam and started in that couple weeks with conversations between myself and leadership within my organization, and we were able to get to what I felt was the root of the problem there. I had feelings and needs about the conversation that I were rooted in issues from childhood, and or issues from like my teenage years in high school or earlier employers, or privilege dynamics that I just would have never like been aware of without someone talking through like a privilege and power assessment, essentially. Um, so that was right off the bat really helpful for me, um, in understanding the dynamic between myself and leadership, as an hourly employee, the only hourly employee in those conversations or in that disagreement, um, the lowest paid employee at my place of work at the time, the only person of color in the room. So yeah, I think that conversation really got me thinking about what was the dynamic for me in my workplace. How was that playing out situationally? How was that playing out in what my employer felt they needed to provide for me or not, based on, and within my organization, it was common back then for them to say, if you need anything, let us know. Or if you like, they leadership felt they were doing enough by just saying, if you have an issue, come to us. If you need anything, let us know. And I think intention wise, they were definitely in a place that they like of intention that was kind and just, and looking to serve the interests and needs of all people involved, but didn't really know how to reach that place. And I think through a lot of the conversations that we had with Pam, people in our organization have been kind of waking up to the understanding that needs, oftentimes, especially for people who have difficulty owning their needs or being open with and vulnerable. Um, yeah, I think we just, as an organization, learned how to actually get needs met for the individual and for leadership at the same time, hold the needs of the business and the individual, through the process of nonviolent communication. So that's been powerful to experience. And I don't know if it's a coincidence or not, but around about that same time, I really started to like analyze my relationships and my, like, the privilege dynamic that exists for me on a day-to-day basis, and start to seek out ways to get more comfortable stating my needs or owning my needs, or like understanding that as a human, um, especially as a human that's been through a lot, I deserve a place. I deserve surroundings, friends, and relationships that are nurturing and soft and kind, and also that those relationships don't have to be just soft. They can be progressive. They can be work-based relationships with two people that do things that aren't like two welders, say, or two like high testosterone men that don't have to be like, we're not just being soft. We're getting the work done. We're being more efficient. We're leaving the work. We're coming into the work maybe we're coming into the work where we're at. And then I feel like oftentimes with nonviolent communication, we leave better people, not only in the work that we're doing, but outside of the workplace. The conversations that have been had at work and outside of work with coworkers have become enriched, really. Like, I feel like most people within my organization back then would have said, we are progressive. We're a progressive organization. We are progressive people. But back then we just didn't know how to bridge the gap between our intentions and actually being people that serve the needs of our immediate community and our circle. So now I feel like there's rich conversation happening in and out of the workplace with my coworkers, and for me, with my friends of many years. I feel like my life has become quite a bit more communicative, and I just kind of get my needs met now often. It's a relief. It's a huge relief. I feel like I'm less anxious knowing that if something is uncomfortable, if something's bothering me, that there's actually a way to state that I'm not feeling safe or cared for, that doesn't attack the other person, that doesn't make the other person wrong, that just yeah. Yeah. I think it's in terms of equity in the workplace. Um, Before we started work with Pam and nonviolent communication, we didn't, as an organization, we basically didn't know what equity meant. Um, we thought diversity was what you were looking for. Yeah, I don't. We just weren't ready to create a safe place for folks to come and work with our organization and show up as their full selves. We just didn't know how to do that. We wanted to, but we couldn't at that point. And now, a year and a half later, we're really working on kind of changing our hiring practices to create a more inclusive workplace and to up belonging. We've reviewed our handbook for terminology that might accidentally exclude people, which back 2 years ago, I really don't think that would have been a possibility. So now that we have this system of communication in place, this like system of accountability, this way to bring concerns to the forefront without making people feel alienated or bad, we're able to just really make progress within our organization. And looking forward, I think community wise, my hope is that what we're doing within our organization will spread into the community and enhance the community in the way that our organization has been helped. So um, that's been inspiring, deeply inspiring. For me, it's kind of created a whole second wave of like sort of like life-changing motivation to really get on the path. I feel like a lot of barriers in my life were due to lack of ability to communicate with folks around me. So that's obviously been a huge deal for me.